Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Heart and Health Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Welch, and I'm really glad that you are here today. This episode is going to feel a little different than some of the others because it's meant to be very reflective and grounding, kind of like workshop style. And so it's not going to be rushed and there's no high pressure. It's definitely something that you might want to grab a pen and paper for to kind of work through some of this. Might pause it as you go throughout. As we close out 2025 and we begin looking ahead to 2026, I just want to give you some space to pause and reflect and take stock of what this past year held and then gently begin thinking about what you want to carry forward. And so I don't want to do this in a hustly, new year, new you kind of way because I think we can change things about ourselves any day of the year. It does not have to be on the new year, but it's very popular, I know, for people to start things on January 1st. And so I want you to do this as much as you can in a very thoughtful, whole person focused way. So if you're just listening while you're folding laundry or you're driving or you're sitting somewhere quiet, I think that's totally fine, but you might want to come back and listen later when you have time to grab a notebook and a pen and work through this. But for now, it's totally okay for you to just listen and reflect. So I want to start this reflection practice by looking backward before we look forward. And I think this part is really important because it gives you an opportunity to celebrate the wins and learn from maybe the parts that you weren't so happy about. And this part matters more than people think because I think a lot of times we're just in a hurry to move on to the next thing, but giving yourself that time to reflect and really be proud of what you accomplished is a healthy thing to do as well. So first of all, I want to think about what your wins were. And when I say wins, I'm not just talking about big accomplishments like having a big raise or promotion at work, but I'm also talking about moments where you just showed up and were present and you kept going even when it was really hard, or when you did something that was really hard that you didn't know you were able to do. And these things matter even if no one else noticed or was aware of them and they were just between you and God and you knew about it. Okay. So I want you to think about what went well this year. What were you proud of? What did you survive that deserves some acknowledgement? And give yourself some time to just work through all that. And again, if you need to pause this, that's totally okay. I'm going to keep going along because I don't want there to be these big awkward silences on the episode, but just know that it's totally okay to pause and think about that. This could be things that are related to work, could be related to family, maybe your health, things that you changed. Even if they're small accomplishments, there's still something that you can be proud of and look back on and say, yeah, that happened in 2025. I'm proud of myself for doing that, making that happen. And I'm going to carry that energy forward with me in 2026. Okay, so once you've done that, I want you to go ahead and consider some losses. And this can include things like grief, missed opportunities, maybe relationships that changed or ended, plans that did not work out the way that you wanted them to, or maybe just seasons that were harder than you expected. And as you're thinking through these things, keep in mind that this is not about dwelling on the bad stuff or the negative stuff, and it's not about spiraling into a dark place of disappointment or discouragement. Rather, it's just giving a name to whatever it was that you experienced and having an opportunity to notice how it influenced you, the way you view the world, view people, relationships, yourself. And so that kind of takes us into this next section, which is lessons learned. And so as you think about the wins that you had and the losses you experienced, ask yourself, how did these experiences teach you something that's meaningful that you can take forward with you? What did this year teach you? Again, what did it teach you about you, what you can handle, what your personality is like, the parts of yourself that you really like or don't like so much? What about your limits? Did you reach limits? Did you try new things and find out, oh, that's a limit I didn't know I had before? What is it that matters to you the most? What values did you find being acknowledged or missed? And how did that inform what matters to you? And just a reminder that sometimes the biggest growth doesn't necessarily come from the wins. It can absolutely come from those losses or the lessons learned that helped shape us, even if that was quietly or intensely. Maybe it's a way that feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar that you're not too crazy about, but it still gives an opportunity to learn something that we can take forward with us in the next year. So after you've done that, I want to move into a little bit more fun section. And this is where we talk about dreams. This isn't necessarily goals. I want you to focus on your dreams, the big things, the ideas that kept resurfacing this year, that I want to accomplish that. And what did you catch yourself wishing for, daydreaming about, thinking about, and what felt exciting, even if in some ways it also felt unrealistic? I want you to notice what these things are and pay attention to them, because dreams tell us what we care about even before we try to make it practical. Okay. So that's a nice way to just kind of wrap up 2025. Now for part 2, I want you to narrow your focus on 2026, or this next year. If you're listening to this in the future, that's totally fine. But we're going to look into the next year. I want you to choose 3 to 5 of your top goals for the coming year. I don't want you to make this too big. We're not making a giant list of 10 or 23. 10 or 20 things, but just 3 to 5 top goals for the coming year. And these should be goals that actually matter to you, not things that feel like you're supposed to do them or that someone else expects you to focus on these things. Okay, so 3 to 5. Maybe you need to start with a list of 10 and then narrow it down. That's totally fine. And as you choose these top goals for yourself, I want you to ask, does this goal align with the life that I am trying to build? Does this support my health, my relationships, or my sense of purpose? Is it working toward making me a better version of myself? Is it aligned with where I'm wanting to go, where I'm headed? Okay. And now I want you to imagine yourself on this day next year, December 31st, 2026, and picture yourself a year from now. And notice, who are you? What do you look like? What are you doing? What are you enjoying? What are you proud of right now? You're looking back on the year and thinking, I am so proud of myself for making that happen. What values are guiding you and pushing you toward those goals? What beliefs do you hold about yourself that maybe you didn't fully believe yet? So things that you want to believe about yourself right now, but maybe you're not quite there yet. And on December 31st, 2026, you can say, I do believe these things. I firmly believe these things are true about me. And again, this is not about perfection. It is about having clear direction and a vision that provides you with inspiration and hope and encouragement. All right, so now we're going to move into part 3, and this is how that change actually happens. So I want to talk about some daily and weekly practices that you can put into place. Remember that big goals don't actually change our lives. It's the really small, repeated behaviors that we do each and every day that make a big difference and add up over time. So instead of asking yourself, what do I want to achieve? Maybe ask yourself something like, what kind of person do I want to be on a daily basis? What are a few simple practices that you could realistically maintain on a daily or weekly basis? And not just when life is perfect, but when it's messy and busy and imperfect and you are trying to find a way to make it happen. But these are little things that you can work in that feel doable. And this is going to lead us to a mindset and capacity where we can really hold a space for this person that we want to become and make it possible, because it's just who we are. It's how we view ourselves, how we view the world, what we can accomplish, what we're able to do, what we believe we're able to do. Do we really believe that we have the capacity to achieve these goals? Because if your capacity is low, If your mindset is that you can't accomplish these things, it's near impossible, you're not going to get there, right? So we have to have a mindset that allows us to get to that place that we want to go. We have to have the belief that we are able to get there. But I want you to be honest with yourself here, okay? Do you have room for this right now in your life as it is right now? Are there things that need to shift or change, be added or taken away so that you're not constantly operating in survival mode? And I want you to think about the systems and strategies that are supporting you. And then what are the pieces that are missing right now that need to be added? And this could be things like having routines, daily morning routines, bedtime routines, getting ready for work, school routines, things like that. It could also be implementing boundaries in your family, at work, with friends, partners. It could be planning tools, how you're getting organized and staying on top of all of the things that you have going on. So it's not just a jumbled mess in your head that's overwhelming. It could be support systems, which are people or tools. These systems are going to help you succeed without relying on constant motivation, because that motivation comes and goes. It's really about discipline and having a system in place that makes it possible to get these things done. And then finally, let's acknowledge some bottlenecks or barriers or things that can get in the way. And ask yourself, what are those things that get in your way? Whether that's time or energy. A big one for me is perfectionism or guilt, shame. It's a big one as well. And again, this awareness is the important part. And it's not about noticing where you failed, that you're a failure, but it's just information about what's going on, the good and the bad, so that we can make adjustments where needed. Okay. So now let's move into part 4. And this is going to be your plan. We're going to bring it all together into a really simple plan. This isn't a rigid blueprint. It is just a direction for you to kind of funnel you into the right space. Okay, so what are you focusing on for the year? What are you letting go of? And what are you committing to try, even if it's imperfectly? Sometimes I find that having a word of the year can be helpful. I think for me, as I'm moving into 2026, it's about my health. I've done a pretty good job of taking care of my mental space. I need to focus more on my physical health. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about 75 hard in just a second, but that's going to help me kind of reboot things and get on track. So sometimes having a word can help kind of focus this in. Okay. So like I said, I want to talk about 75 hard real quick. I've decided that I'm going to start the 75 hard challenge tomorrow on January 1st. I originally intended to start on the 31st, so I'd finish in time for our trip in March. And then I changed my mind. To put it simply, we don't need excuses. I changed my mind. So I'm starting on January 1st. I've done it once before back in 2022. I'm in a different season of life now. I don't have a little baby. If you have a fresh baby, this may not be the right time. If you think you can do it, more power to you. But now that my son is a little bit older, we have daycare practically next door. I'm really excited to give it another shot. And I'm not going to do it by myself. I have people who are going to do it with me. So I think that's going to be helpful too. Last time I was doing it on my own, and this time I'm not doing it alone. So I like that. But I want to be very clear that this challenge is not for everyone, and it's totally okay if it's not for you right now. It is an intense challenge. And a lot of people do like 75 soft and they modify it. And as of right now, that is not my plan. But I'm also telling myself that any improvement from what I'm currently doing is an improvement. So I have all the intention in the world to do 75 hard. That being said, I'm not going to shame myself if something happens along the way. And 75 hard, as instructed by Andy Frisella, it's okay if that is not for you. Okay? I might do an episode. My next episode, maybe I'll break down 75 hard in detail and tell you about how it's going for me in case you want to join. And it's okay if you want to join later. But it's very structured. It's demanding. It requires consistency and mental resilience. More than anything, it's a mental challenge more than it is even a physical challenge. Like there's physical parts to it for sure, but it's a mental challenge about doing things that are hard, proving to yourself that you will do it even when you don't want to, not quitting things that you start, all of that. So for right now, for me, right now, it very much feels aligned and like something that I want to do. And if you've been craving some structure and accountability or a reset going into the new year, you are welcome to join me. You don't have to start on January 1st when I'm starting to be part of a group. If you want to be part of it, you can start later and you can totally modify it if you want to. You can just observe and listen to my updates as they come along and take inspiration. That's fine. I'm probably going to be posting, maybe not necessarily daily updates, but more consistent updates on my TikTok about the progress. Might post some on Instagram, but definitely on my TikTok. So if you aren't following me on TikTok yet, follow me over there. It's just at Heart and Health Wellness. So, but if you do want to join and you want some accountability, or would like to be added to a group where we encourage each other and have a chat, just send me a message and I'll make sure that you are included in that. Okay. So I do want to point out that today's episode was inspired by a workshop that I went through. A woman named Jane, and I cannot remember her last name for the life of me, but Jane did a workshop like this recently, and it gave me some inspiration to walk y'all through something similar. So, Jane, if you're ever listening, thank you for the inspiration. And I hope this is helpful to all of you listening today, like it was for me when I went through it with Jane. Okay, so as we head into a new year, I just want to remind you of this, that you are not behind. You are not starting from scratch. You're building on everything that you've lived through up to this point. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for listening, and for sharing this space with me, and for letting Heart and Health Wellness be a success in 2025. And I'm excited to carry it into 2026 to see where it goes. And if this episode was helpful at all, I would invite you to share it with someone else who might need a gentle way to reflect and plan for the new year. And as always, if you're able to give a positive review for the podcast or for the episode, I really appreciate that as well. So thank you for your support. And until next time, take care of yourself and be well.